We want you waking up stiff, and I'm not talking about decrepit. I'm talking about pitch tent. And what I mean by that is you are going to get the greatest hormonal response, anabolic, from this type of training. Aesthetically, we will build those fast twitch fibers so you look good on the bodybuilding stage, the Chippendale stage, or any stage in between. Performance-wise, it speaks for itself. You'll be faster and more conditioned. Thank you. Ah! Definitely get some strange looks from the city workers here as we set this up, but here's the bottom line. The cops are told to stand down right now, so they're not gonna call the cops for the guy driving all his gear under the sand, so I think we're good to go. We're here in the sand today. You might be wondering why we're in the sand. So for one, we want to bring people a chance, something during quarantine, because a lot of people that watch our videos, they're in Australia, places like that, Japan, all these different places that have access to sand, Kuwait, access to sand, all these different places, and sometimes it's not even right in the ocean. You have like deserts and stuff that have access to the sand. So if you're not able to get to a gym, what can we utilize outdoors? Some people are doing this using this time to build themselves, like they're becoming like more of a savage during this time. They're building themselves, using this time wisely to become that. Other people, are saying, if I had access to weights, I'd be doing this or that. No, you wouldn't. You'd be playing video games. You'd be holding your sausage hostage. You probably wouldn't be doing that because you lost your libido at this point from your low T. So it wouldn't happen. So either you're using this time wisely or not. That's how this is. Okay, so this video is dedicated to people that want to utilize that time, because if you're already watching this video, we know you're going to utilize this time. So how can we utilize this time better? One of the ways, if you have access to sand, is training the sand. No access to sand, you can do what we're doing on a hill. Okay, so why would you use the sand? Okay, so you think about it. When you run on a hard surface, the ground is like a trampoline. You put force into the ground, it's absorbed by the ground, then it's shot back at you. So it's like a trampoline type of effect. The sand absorbs 100% of the force applied to it, yet it only shoots back a very small percentage of that sand. So if we have sand, it's say the sand is about 3 feet deep. It was raining here, so that's why we're doing shorter distances and things like that. And it's not as soft as it always is. But if the sand's soft, it's 3 feet deep. A grown-up has, it's on average a shoe sole. It's about ½ an inch thick. Okay, so it sinks about in that 3 feet deep sand. When you run, you apply force, you're going to sink about 3 inches into the ground. Okay, so the ground, so each of those ½ inches is like a different level. So you're basically have to be resisted by 6 different levels of sand. That's a crazy overload. And I first learned about this concept when I trained with Matt Poe, the very well-known speed coach in Nashville, Tennessee. I started working with him. I moved to Tennessee, and we trained together. You will, think about it. You're required to pull your legs and your body out of 6 different levels. Okay, this requires much more muscular overload, and the metabolic demand is much greater. Some studies show it takes 20 to 60% more energy utilization to sprint in sand versus on a harder surface. So that you think, why do track coaches not like? A lot of track coaches don't like sand sprinting. I think it makes very good sense what they're saying, because if you think about it, you have a Usain Bolt or somebody just beautiful, runner, the perfect cadence, they've worked forever to develop that rhythm. You throw them in this kind of resistance, it may throw off that rhythm. I get that. I'm not Usain Bolt. You're not Usain Bolt. We're people training to be more explosive. So, a tactical athlete, you're running minimally with 20 to 25 pounds of gear on. If you're a warfighter in Afghanistan, you're averaging 100 pounds of external load. As you go up a mountain, you might have to sprint. If you're on a SWAT team, you're probably averaging about 66 pounds of gear. If you're a structural firefighter, when you have to pull somebody out, you're resistant. So for everybody else, even like team sport and contact sport athletes, the sand can be utilized very efficiently. So another benefit or detriment, depending on how you look at it from a track coach's perspective, is the track is over time you will, even though this causes greater muscular overload, you get less sore from it, because what it does is it sort of it more minimizes the eccentric forces. So if you're a track runner, what that could do is potentially maybe not make your stride perfect, but for everybody else that lessens the risk of injury, because those powerful eccentric contractions a lot of times is where you get injured. And then, you know, since it helps you recover better, it's obviously the soft sand is easier on your joints, and you know, you shouldn't be running on concrete anyways, but even the grass, the soft sand is going to be much easier on your joints. The other thing that sand does, again, this is why a track coach might not like it, is it's going to shorten your stride. Okay, so when your stride is shortened, you have less chance of injuring your hamstring. So that's why for normal people, especially you powerful people that have these powerful engines and a, you know, pretty small car that have been training sprints, this is going to shorten your stride and make it safer so you don't tear a hamstring. So when you this is like, okay, so we have the, you know, hill on one level. This would probably be the next step, you know, on that hierarchy of the hill is going to be safest. This would be this, you know, this is going to be great. You're going to be able to move a little bit faster in sand more than likely, so that you could do the hill first, then the sand. But if you're already in the hill and you're ready for the sand, it's a great way to go here. So this is going to decrease your velocity. So your top speed, you're not going to be quite as fast in the sand. Again, that is safer if you're not a competitive sprinter, or you're not, you know, whatever. So the other thing is, if you're training the same way all the time, so, you know, the body thrives on our routine, but at some point, if something's effective, it is nice to have some variety and novelty into your training plan, not do the same thing every time. The issue with that is a lot of people are training for the gram, doing whatever, acting kind of silly and not getting anything out of it. This is a variety, this is novelty, but it's very, very highly effective. So there's a lot of benefits to sand training, and that's why we are training in sand today. The performance benefits of sprinting in the sand, you know, compound movements here, all this stuff are pretty obvious. So we're going to talk about that, but we're also going to talk about the anabolic muscle building movements. So here's what we're doing here. So first off, we start off with something that wouldn't be so much of a physique builder, but it's a very good way to start. It's do the plate throw overhead and then sprint 20 yards after that. Ah! So what the plate throw does from a performance standpoint is, we've talked before about you want to train explosively, but you have to do something with triple extension. So that's extension of your ankles, knees, and hips. So if all you do is like swings, box squats, things like that, you don't actually get that full-on triple extension with the ankles. So that's why we're doing that to warm up, okay? So if all you cared about is aesthetics, that you could just view it that and say, hey, this is not building my physique as much as the other things. However, it's providing me a great way to warm up, and you know, the performance benefits. You never know when crap's gonna hit the fan of the bodybuilding show anyway, so you might need some performance. Okay, so how do you work fast twitch muscle fibers? That's what we're doing here. This is a fast twitch fiber overload. Okay, there's two ways to work fast twitch muscle fibers. Very heavy weight, you know, so like that's why powerlifters have so much muscle. You have powerlifters that lift really heavy, take long breaks, yet they still pack out a lot of muscles, because you see in the lighter weight classes, people that, you know, train primarily core movements still have a good amount of muscle without doing bodybuilding trainings, because the fast twitch muscle fibers are the ones that have most potential for growth, and they work them hard with heavy weight and long rest periods, okay? The other way to build fast twitch muscle fibers is with explosive movements. Now, you're not going to get the hypertrophies, obviously, if all you do is just do really explosive movements with the movements unloaded. You're not going to get that same hypertrophy, but that is the other way to work fast twitch muscle fibers. So I think that's why you look at a lot of sprinters. A lot of sprinters, go online and look up the ones at 60 meters for the indoor track, 100 meters. They actually have, a lot of them could actually win a natural bodybuilding contest without having to diet down. They are as lean too. So there is a lot of benefit here. So then we look at people in prisons, gymnasts, people like that do a lot of high volume bodyweight training with short rest. So we're kind of combining all three to create like a you know, sort of an anabolic fast twitch overload. Here's what I'm saying. So what we're doing here is we're doing a loaded movement here first, then immediately follow a sprint right after. So you've heard of the post-activation potentiation. We've talked about that before. That's where it's like a pre-contraction, basically assists the next contraction. So you can do, like if you do movement A, it helps movement B become more powerful. Think isometric, you know, on a deadlift, pulling as hard as you can against the rack, wait a few minutes, you're more explosive on the subsequent deadlift set. So we have that area, but obviously fully utilizing that, you need a full recovery. We're not taking a full recovery here, so we're taking advantage of those shorter rest periods. So we are, by not taking a recovery from loaded movement to sprint, we're almost like the bodybuilding concept of pre-exhaust or pre-fatigued of the fast twitch muscles. But by doing this, we're overloading the entire continuum. The ones that are, we're activating them with the heavy movement first. Then we're activating them also with a very fast sprint right after. Realizing we're sacrificing some of that, a little bit of that sprint by not taking a recovery. So we'll do that, do a loaded movement, break immediately into the sprint here. So we were gonna go 40 yards, but we had to go 20 yards because of the conditions today. Rained here last night. And we could normally take, to be full on recover between sets, probably take like 5 minutes or so, take a long time to recover in between sets. But we're taking 2-minute breaks today. So we are getting recovery between sets, but not a full-on recovery. So by those shorter rest periods, what happens before I made that comment about we want you waking up the right kind of stiff, pitching a tent in the morning, that kind of thing. That's because of the anabolic environment we're creating. With that anabolic environment, by those shorter rest periods, we're maximizing growth hormone and testosterone production. Okay, and there has in the research been some people questioning how much that hormonal response to exercise aids in the anabolic and strength process. Okay, fair enough. However, I will go and say this, okay, if it doesn't help, does it hurt? So let's say it doesn't help as much as previously thought, we sure as hell know it ain't hurting. Furthermore, by doing these shorter rests, we do definitely get some conditioning out of this. So what we're doing here is basically doing, you're doing a set of anywhere from like 4 to 8 reps, okay? Then you're gonna immediately sprint about 40 yards after. So I'm working on perfecting this kind of system here. And as we develop more things, we'll have more to share with you here. But that's the idea. You do a heavy, loaded movement, and you sprint right after. And how was this inspired? This was originally inspired by a legendary Canadian sprinter, Ben Johnson. He one time was squatting 505 reps, racked the bar, sprinted out of the squat rack 60 yards. And, one of the trained under the legendary Charlie Francis. So that's how this whole thing was inspired. Physique-wise, how does this help you? The performance benefits are obvious. It's called myogenic tone. So you look at like a Branch Warren or Ronnie Coleman. They have a quote-unquote dense look. Dorian Yates, a dense look. What does that mean? That's myogenic tones. That means their muscles are like a sort of partially activated at all time. Because the fast twitch muscle fiber studies show are more superficial. They're more towards the skin. So if your nervous system's partially activated, it's like they're popping out at all time. That's built with fast twitch muscle fibers. That's done with heavy weight. So that's why Dorian Yates, Branch Warren look different. You can tell they're not fluffer bodybuilders, just sit around, pump 50 reps on a chrome machine, take a bunch of drugs and go home. They're building it with real lifting. So then even like a power lifter dieted down, a sprinter, look at it, like they're always, like they walk around, it's like they're always activated. So if you're training for aesthetics, you can get that myogenic tone walking around like always something's activated. It's more dense, more nasty, more grainy. You're gonna look better on the stage. So today, what we did the throws overhead. We did the lunges with a sandbag, okay? That'd be fine with a barbell too. Got this 200-pound sandbag. Just brought it out here because of, I didn't have my squat racks not portable to bring out here. The one I have is portable in California. So he brought the sandbag, did it with that. And then we did the swings, okay? The swings are I mean, I wish it was wish it wasn't so wide, but it works for we're not getting ready for a kettlebell contest, so we can live with it. So what you do here, you know, to swing, extend the glutes as hard as you can. It's one of the best ways to work your glutes. I feel like I have buns of steel right now after completing this session today. So we did 4 sets of throws, we did 4 sets of swings, 4 sets of lunges, each coupled with a 20-yard sprint, resting 2 minutes between each. And I don't know, feel great today. So thanks for tuning in, and we will have more to come.